We'll see what the rankings say in about an hour. How far down are we going? 14 to what? We're not going out, right? You only fell 5 spots in the net. Five spots in the net, right? So I don't think you fall much further than that. What, 20 maybe? 19, 20? What do you think, Brian Dacus?
Yeah, that feels like the range.
Yeah. And then the bracketologist, which we'll see later in the week, I suspect a 6 seed now. Can't lose, really, again. Maybe you can lose at UAB, but if you really want to win the outright championship, you can't lose that game unless UAB is going to lose along the way. Tough time. That was a tough loss in overtime. It was a very tough trip. The Tigers took a charter on some of these charter trips now in order to save money, and I totally understand that as Ed Scott tries his best to balance the budget, and that charter jet to Maui or back from Maui was very expensive, so they're trying to balance things out. So on a few of these trips, they've gone to 30-seaters. When that occurs, team managers, because not all the equipment can fit that they take on trips, can be taken on that charter. So they have managers taking a lot of the equipment on commercial flights. I end up usually with those managers on these commercial flights. So the players in that 30-seater, when they got off of that airplane, and they were tired, because remember, Memphis on a big charter, didn't get home from Tampa until 3 o'clock in the morning, basically Friday morning. All right? So they're tired. They get up. They do a little practice on Saturday, and they take off again. They take off in the small jet, and there's weather everywhere. And every one of them got off that plane shaken, talking about it being the worst flight, the most turbulent flight they'd ever been on. The managers and myself had the same kind of turbulence, but it was not with the air. It was with American Airlines and the way they treat passengers. So, for those of us not lucky enough to get on that charter, this was all foreboding to what kind of a trip this was going to be. And remember, we all had gone to Tampa. We all got home at 3 o'clock in the morning. I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning to go for a 7 o'clock flight, just like everybody else. We're on the 7 o'clock flight, 7:10. So I can get to the airport at 6, which we do. We all get in the airplane. The airplane then, when everybody's packed in, pilot goes on and goes, we got to apologize. We don't have enough fuel in the plane. We have to wait for a guy to come fuel the plane. And so we did. We all waited. Now, I am wondering to myself, what kind of management do they have in American Airlines where you can't, on the first flight out, be prepared and ready to take off on time? Because everybody has connections. There are some people on that airplane that were just going to Chicago, maybe 8%, 10%. Everybody else has connections. Because the airplane wasn't prepared, we're all late to Chicago. Now, Chicago is not like Atlanta. It is not like Dallas. It does not have a system with trains or monorails or shuttles, whatever you want to call it. You got to walk. We are in G gate, and we got to go to L. Now, according to my phone, my fitness thing, my steps, that gate's a half a mile away. 10 of us are flying to make this trip, to make this flight to Wichita, because we know this is our window. We got to get there. We fly. I mean it. I mean run the half a mile. We get there, and as we approach, they literally close the door. We're going, wait, there's 10 of us. Too bad. Basically, that was the attitude of the American Airlines gate agent in Chicago, too bad. Who cares that it's our fault? Too bad. Figure it out. You're not getting on this plane. Go to assistance, which is back to G-Gate. So here's another half a mile we go. 10 of us. And we talked to the lady at assistance, who was nice, I will say this. Because even some employees of American Airlines confided in us later that the culture at American is unlike most of the other airlines, that it is incredibly apathetic. No empathy whatsoever with the traveler. And to me, I hate to say this, but travel in America in 2025, you pay a lot of money to be stressed out. It is an anxiety-riddled exercise to travel on airlines in America in 2025. Bottom line. And it's been that way for about 2-3 years. I don't know. Maybe it's since COVID, but they're always late. They're canceling. Like today, there's like 2,000 cancellations because of weather. Now, that's understandable to a certain extent, but there was no excuses this time. They just didn't care. We go back. This lady was pretty nice. She goes, I'm sorry, guys. There's no way you can get to Wichita from Chicago until 2 o'clock Sunday. What? The game's at 11. By the way, the guys have equipment that is needed for practice at 6 o'clock that night. She comes up with an alternative, which was a good one. Going to end up being costly, but a good one. And that is, we can go to Manhattan, Kansas. It's 110 miles, about 2 hours, to go from Manhattan to Wichita. We go, okay, it's the only chance we got. We're going to do it. Walk all the way back, by the way, another half a mile, to wait. The thing was supposed to board at 10, and we got there just in time to board, and it's delayed, and it kept getting longer. First it was 10:45, then it was 11:15, then it was noon. Finally we get on, it was like 2 hours late. But we do get there. We go to Manhattan. We get into one minivan and 2 huge SUVs so we can carry all the equipment. And we finally get to Wichita at 5 o'clock at night. And we were supposed to be there at like 11. That was foreboding of what a bad trip this was going to be. And plus which, by the way, American Airlines should pay for the 3 rental cars that we ended up having to pay. Yeah, it was nuts. And then the Tigers just got out physicaled. This is the same recipe that cost them in Philadelphia against Temple. They couldn't match the opposition physicality. They got out-rebounded. They gave up 54 rebounds. They gave up 45 in that loss to Temple. They gave up 19 offensive rebounds. They gave up 22. Now, in my mind, I'm going to tell you, I think they pad the rebound numbers in Wichita. I think they pad numbers for the Shockers in Wichita. It's reminiscent, and Bryant, you wouldn't be around for this, but when the Tigers were in the Metro Conference, you would go to Marquette. They had a point guard who was an all-conference player. He was a really good player. I want to say his name is Miller, but I can't remember for sure. On the road, Miller would have 3 to 4 assists per game. At home, 8 to 10. I'm not sure that Ballard and Washington, Quincy Ballard, Corey Washington, aren't the beneficiary of padded stats on rebounds in Wichita. I would wonder if we looked what their average rebound numbers are on the road compared to what they are at home. But they out-rebounded Memphis. There's no doubt about that. The number itself doesn't really matter. The Tigers were absolutely pushed around. And then in the overtime, Brian Dacus, they couldn't hit a shot.
That's right. Well, that's the thing. You talk about rebounds, and that was kind of the recipe for so many rebounds. Neither team can make a shot most of the game, and so you had 99 combined rebounds between the two teams. Everybody was just missing everything. I will tell you this, Dave. Quincy Ballard at home averaging 9.3 rebounds, on the road averaging 7.8. So not a huge discrepancy there.
That's a rebound and a half.
That's true.
So if you count this and say Corey Washington's the same way.
Corey Washington, 9 rebounds at home, 6.5 on the road.
2.5. Now we're talking about 4 rebounds a game difference, okay? 4 rebounds a game difference. It was very odd. The box at the half, okay, showed 30 rebounds and 9 for Corey Washington.
Yeah.
Then the stat monitor said 33 and 11. So I go and they go, oh, yeah, we recounted.
I love it.
We recounted. And that's when I go, and I didn't say anything to them, but that's when I said, they're padding. This reminds me of Marquette.
That's funny.
But that didn't matter. All those rebounds by Washington and Ballard, that wasn't why Dane Danger did nothing.
That's right.
I don't know what happened to Dane Danger. If you look at Dane Danger in several games this year, you would say best big man in the league, dominating guy, fundamentally so sound you wouldn't believe it. And I've watched him in practices where his footwork is as good as any big man I have seen in a Memphis uniform. Joey Dorsey, Keith Lee, Derek Phillips, name them. His footwork fundamentally so sound, and he can use either hand. Use either hand effectively. Left, right, he can hook them with both. He can be amazing. I don't know what happened yesterday. I suspect he got punched in the mouth early by Quincy Ballard, and somewhere the fight got lost. He looked like a guy who didn't want to play. That hurt.
I feel like Quincy Ballard always has a good game against Memphis. I think last year he had a pretty good game.
Well, he has great second halves.
Yeah, that is.
In the game in Memphis, all his points were in the second half.
Really?
The majority of his points in this game were in the second half. They went to this pick and roll with lobs.
Yep.
In the middle of that second half when they were down by 8, biggest lead Memphis had, and the Tigers just could never adjust. Even Nicholas Jourdain, who had a pretty good game, Jourdain was saying that was the difference in the game. We did not adjust to that pick and roll in the second half. And then, I hate to say it, the Tigers have a chance to win the game, and they got plenty of time, 14.8 or something of that nature. And they run a play, was supposed to go to Haggerty. And Penny called a timeout because he thought the Tigers were having trouble getting the ball in, and they didn't. Really, and that allowed Wichita State to set up the kind of defense they wanted. The play was supposed to be run to Haggerty. And Haggerty was they thought that Haggerty wasn't going to get the ball in the inbound when he called the timeout, but he got it. And then he should have saved that timeout because then they wouldn't have had time to set up what they did, and Haggerty would have already had the ball in his hands. So they come down and they run a play, and Haggerty's supposed to get it and was taken away. So the second option is to Kobe Rogers in the corner. Now, that would have been a Hollywood ending because Kobe, who struggled in both games now with Wichita State, I don't know that he necessarily tried to do too much in this game like he did in the first game, but he was 2 of 8, okay? And he had 1 rebound. It was not a sterling performance, but all that could be erased if he hits the game winner from the corner as the clock goes down. Unfortunately, the ball hit side rim as the buzzer sounded, and we're going to overtime. Tigers there built a 4-point lead and couldn't hold it because they shot 1 of 8. And then here's a guy, Bijan Cortez, who shoots 30% from 3, who had missed his first 2 threes, who, by the way, in the 2 prior games, he's filling in for Justin Hill, who'd been their starting point guard, who's got a toe injury, and they've won every game without him. He had 1 assist and 10 turnovers in those other 2 games, despite them winning. In this game, 4 assists, no turnovers. What? and he hits a three, and he's not a great shooter. It was his third attempt of the night and the only one he made, and it was really what ended up being the game winner. So the Tigers, free-falling, down to 49 in the net. What will they be in the rankings, and where will they be with seeding in bracketology? That dream of being in the reveal next week, that's gone. And now they got a week to think about it before FAU comes to town next Sunday. NBA All-Star Game. Brian Takis, I did not watch a minute of it because I was on my way home, this time through Dallas.
Better trip back than there, or do we still have problems on the way back?
No, that was pretty good. That
Okay,
was
good.
on time,
Good.
through Dallas, boom. Actually, the last leg of our journey from Dallas to Memphis was shared with the Ole Miss baseball team that had won two
how about that?
out
Really
of
good
three
weekend for them.
at a tournament in Arlington,
that's right.
and their only loss was to Texas.
That's right.
Which is a pretty good team.
SEC matchup.
Yeah. So we had the Rising Stars, where Wells and Edey were teamed up with the MVP of the Rising Star game, Stefan Castle, kid from UConn.
That's right.
And so they get to play in the game, which, Draymond Green took great exception. How can a young guy see the Sunday night court of the NBA All-Star Game like it's this heavenly place? Round robin format, in the words of some, this is not what you want to hear, okay? Round robin format, you have 4 teams, single elimination, so that's 3 games. Rising Stars are included. And the best word I heard about it was, well, yeah, it brought back some respectability. That's the best you could say about these formats? The best you could say was it brings back some respectability. Curry was the MVP. You know why he was the MVP?
Why is that?
It's because they changed the format. He heaved up a shot from half court that made it. Because they don't really, with all these games, and they're so short, it's hard to find criteria for an MVP. So they just gave it to the home team guy who hit a half court shot. And a lot of complaints about too many breaks. I know Kevin Hart was doing comedy
That's
in
right,
between.
yeah.
And the last thing I'll say before I want your take, because you watched this stuff.
Yeah.
I did not. The last thing I'm going to say is, you see what the NHL and what hockey has done?
Oh, get ready for my gold medal, Dave.
They
Man.
have a 4 nations shootout. And these guys are taking it seriously. In fact, Canada and the U.S. had multiple brawls in their game.
3 in the first 9 seconds.
It's really good hockey, too, by the way. People are compelled to watch.
Mm-hmm.
USA versus the world. You put the best American stars against Wemby and Jokic and all of those guys, and they've got pride in their countries. It's got to be better than this crap. I'm sorry. Now, I shouldn't say it because I didn't see it, but based on everything I've read, nobody's going, whoa, we found the answer. They're all going, well, it brought back some respectability. That, to me, is not an overwhelming nod in favor.
No, you didn't miss much there, Dave. I was really, I was ready for it last night. I was intrigued. I wanted to see what it looked like. And after the first game, I was out. I mean, it was...
Oh, you left?
Yeah. I mean, I came back and watched, I guess the second game was the OGs, which was Steph and all those guys, KD and everybody, up against the Rising Stars team, which obviously Zach Edey, Jalen Wells. So I wanted to see that. I wanted to see those guys. I wanted to see, because that was kind of the buildup was, okay, well, the first game might not be super competitive, but the second game, you're not going to let these young rising stars come in and try to punk you on, you're the OGs, whatever. And that game it felt like it was more competitive. It felt like there was more defense being played. I'll give credit to Jaren. Jaren was playing in the first game. His team ended up losing, so they got knocked out. But he was like picking up full court, trying to press and trying to play defense. Not many of his teammates shared that sentiment, but no, I mean it's fun. Like I think at the end of the day, All-Star games are what they are right now, and all these guys are just hanging out. I love what Giannis said about let's do USA versus the world. I think that would be more compelling, especially after watching USA and Canada the night before, which was so much fun. But yeah, you didn't miss much last night, Dave.
Yeah, that really is too bad, because I wanted to really think that Adam Silver, and I like Adam Silver, that he's doing everything he could to try to fix this thing, but I don't know if it's fixable.
Yeah.
The best thing, what if you did this? What if you took internationals versus USA? Yeah. Okay? And let's say we put a lot of cash on it. Okay? The winner gets everything, the loser gets nothing. And let's say we have an offensive MVP and a defensive MVP. Do you think that might change things?
It might. I wonder, like, could you put a price on the, like, if you get defensive MVP, you get, like, X amount of money for it? Like, I think that might, because if it's just a trophy, I don't know how many of these guys are gonna be like, oh yeah, I want to get this stupid, All-Star game trophy for being defensive MVP. Now, if it's like a price tag on it, if I get this trophy and a nice little bonus,
I don't know.
Then I might start playing defense.
You're telling me $70 million a year is not enough?
I
don't know if money really is the answer on all of that either. But they got to do something. And I hate to say it, but I think the majority, I don't know where this culture started, but the majority is the sentiment, and I believe it was Kevin Durant who said, well, this is supposed to be a celebration of the game and showcase all of our skills, which apparently KD thinks is only offense, and he doesn't want to see it change. So I'm really not sure. But I do think, I think it was Wembanyama, or maybe it was Jokic, who said, if we had the world against the U.S., I think it.
Or it was Giannis who said that. Yeah.
It was Giannis,
Giannis
and Tedacampo. Okay, that would be the way you go and do it. I'm not sure the world wouldn't beat the U.S.
Yeah, they probably would. Honestly,
to be totally honest with you, but that might save it all. We got plenty we're doing today. Mike DeCourcy, the great Hall of Famer from the Sporting News, is going to join us momentarily. We'll talk everything college basketball, and then we will, in our final segment, give you our medals. We're presented to you by the Spirit Shop. Weekend's over. Time to reload. You can get anything. You can get the Grind City products at the Spirit Shop. You can get Pappy at the Spirit Shop. Anything valuable, you can get middle of the road. You can get the bargains. And here's the thing that Eddie Connor and his staff will do. They'll tell you the difference and why it's the difference and what's an up-and-comer. You're getting an education and great prices when you go to the Spirit Shop. It's easy. It's located right in the heart of East Memphis. It's available to everybody, it seems, because it's right there at Poplar and St. Nick, 4848 Poplar, right down from Clark Tower. It's that little log cabin, not so little inside. It's got everything that you want, plus great education. That's why I love going into Eddie Connor's Spirit Shop, Poplar and St. Nick. We take a break. To Pittsburgh we go momentarily, and Mike DeCourcy joins us in right around the corner.
Be sure to follow us at Sports56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows, stay up to date with station events, and have chances to win prizes. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Follow us at Sports56 WHBQ.
Hey everybody, the new Silverado deal of the year, maybe the decade, is here in Olive Branch at All-Star Chevrolet, where all the Silverados are. Yes, you can get financing down to 2.9, plus make no payments for 90 days. Finance your new Blazer, 1.9, no payments for 90 days. Look, it's still love month, so come get a new Silverado or Blazer. You will love no payments till May, and your good credit deserves it. If you're law enforcement, first responders, healthcare, military, education, recent grad, you get an extra $500 bonus. And if you're looking for certified Silverado Tahoe Suburbans, they're right here at All-Star Chevy in Olive Branch. Every pre-owned you want, Fords, Hondas, Hyundais, dozens of Silverados, they're all here. And if you have any vehicle you want to sell, bring it here to All-Star Chevy in Olive Branch and get the most money for it today. Together, let's drive. AllStarAutoGroup.com.
Hi, this is Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roofing. I have been told that my ads are all business and I should share some of my personality. Okay, I love tongue twisters, like the one about the terrific tasting toast by Taste Tester Toaster, or Big Black Bugs, Bleed Blue Blood, and of course Sally and her seashells. Or of course the ever-present I'm a mother pheasant plucker, I plug mother pheasants. Okay, enough of that. If you want an honest, fair, reasonable roofing, siding, or gutter estimate, call Fiveash Roofing at 367-0050. That's exactly what you'll get. No empty promises, no high-pressure sales tactics, and no fast-talking salesman trying to convince you that today and only today is the best day for you to get a new roof. For the record, the best day to get a new roof is when you're ready for one. Fiveash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Fiveash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
Napa Cafe celebrates 26 years in 2024. Hi, I'm Glenda Hastings, owner of Napa Cafe, and I want to thank you for making us part of your dining experiences. Treat yourself tonight with a delightful dinner. Maybe start with an appetizer like our baked sweet peculiar peppers stuffed with goat cheese and mozzarella, finish with basil pistou, and move on to one of our cozy dishes like the double chocolate stout braised boneless beef short ribs with tonkatsu sauce and creamy mashed potatoes, or a fresh seafood dish like our pan-roasted ginger buttered sea bass with cilantro soy vinaigrette. I get hungry just talking about it. Don't forget about dessert, our famous sweet buttermilk pie with brown sugar sauce, or drink your dessert with one of our signature dessert cocktails, like the lemon cheesecake martini, lemony, icy, frothy, and dusted with graham cracker crumbs. Napa Cafe, open Wednesday through Saturday for dinner starting at 5 o'clock. For reservations, visit our website at napacafe.com. Come join us as we celebrate 26 years of Napa Cafe. We can't wait to serve you.
Now back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56. Here's the voice of the Tigers, Wolo Show.
Well, we got a famous guy, the Hall of Famer. He is in the College Basketball Hall of Fame. Mike DeCourcy is going to join us here in a minute. He's brought to you by Southern Security. Whether you're a small business owner or you're maybe buying your first house, Southern Security's right there to be your trusted financial partner. You know, they've been doing that for over 75 years. They've been serving the Mid-South with the best rates, always personal service, and honestly, the latest in technology. You know, they're building a new branch in Collierville. I think it's going to be open in the fall. In October, it's going to have the most wow technology you ever saw. It's been voted the best credit union in the Mid-South for 6 years, and it's easy to become part of the Southern Security family. Either go to southernsecurity.org, where they believe in talking to people, which is a nice thing. You can talk to a human being at 901-452-7900. Southern Security, proud supporter of U of M Athletics and 901 Women. Southern Security is your home team credit union, federally insured by NCUA. Let's go to Pittsburgh. Mike DeCourcy is standing by. I started the show with a Tom Petty song called Free Fallin'. How far are my Tigers going to fall after losing in overtime on the road? Tough place to play. And by the way, a tough turnaround. Thursday night, late night, Tampa, Florida, 9 o'clock Eastern, 85 degrees. 11 o'clock Sunday morning, frigid Wichita, wind chill of 0. Tough trip. They split. But how bad is the Wichita State, which I believe was 144 in the net when they played, how bad is that killing you?
Well, it hurts because now you've done this 3 times. And look, the way I view it is, because, and not because you're Memphis, but because of the split in the metrics between the predictive metrics, which are very anti-Tigers, so to speak, and the resume metrics, which believe in what they've done for the most part. I think there's been a belief from the other bracket analysts that that's a 6 seed. And what you needed to fight against was that mentality. And by continuing to win in the conference and continuing to stack wins, that's the battle against it. It doesn't. If you continue to do that, then you can build toward the resume metrics. Which, if you look back to 2022, Providence under Ed Cooley had a really fine team, and they were continually winning 1-point games, overtime games. The whole season was that, and their predictive metrics were terrible relative to a team that won a Big East championship, and their results metrics were great because they kept winning, and so that team wound up as a 4 seed in the tournament, and that's what the Tigers' best case scenario always was to continue to stack those wins and force them to give you a 4, and that's probably not going to happen. And now what they have to do is fight against being a 7. And because being a 6 is not a bad spot to be. I mean, I covered a Tigers team that was a 6 seed and made the Sweet 16 and was one really bad foul call away from making the Elite 8.
Yeah, that's for sure.
And so that's not a bad spot to be in, but now you have to fight to keep that.
So where will they be in your bracketology this week? I suspected they would slip to a 6. You're saying maybe a 7. Where do you think they? Where? Are
no,
they
on
in
mine
yours?
they'll be a 6 because
Okay.
they've been a borderline 4 or 5
Right.
for basically most of the season. Depending on what others were doing around them, I might slide them down to a 5. Looking in advance to the reveal, I was pretty sure that they wouldn't be in the top 4, so I slid them down to a 5, and I turned out to be correct. And so I will probably have them as a 6. But as I said, it's a battle now to keep that, and it's a really important thing to do because that difference between the 7 and the 6 is immense. Historically, it has been, and as I look at the difference between the 2s and the 3s this year, it's significant. I've just started to sketch out tomorrow's bracket this afternoon, or this morning, I should say. And as I look at it, I see a huge difference between the beatability, so to speak, of most of the 2s and most of the 3s.
If the Tigers were to win out, they only got 5 games left, right? I think that's right, 21-5. And
Well, then they also would have to win out in the tournament as well.
Okay, well, the third game wouldn't matter. It's a Sunday game, correct?
Yeah, pretty much true. They're going to bracket the Tigers based on, obviously they would have to account for the other team beating the Tigers and therefore getting a bid they wouldn't otherwise get. They would have to account for that, but I don't know that they would move the Tigers down in a contingent bracket because they would assume a loss there, unless it was close between them and whatever the next line was.
So let me just say, let's just say they win out. They would have wins over UAB and FAU. Those are the best teams. And then maybe in the tournament, in the semifinal, depending on how it shakes out, because we're not going to go past the semifinals, they beat North Texas. Or that would be the best, because North Texas, I believe, was 48 at one time in the net. They were the closest to Memphis when they were at 43. So let's just throw that one in, and you win 7 games, which makes you 28-5. Is that right? Because they're 21-5 now, right? 28-5.
That'd be 28-5.
Would they have a chance to get to a 4 again?
Probably not a 4, but they might be able to get to a 5.
Okay.
And the only difference between the 4 and the 5 historically has been that 12-5 thing. The 12s, and this year's 12s are very good. As if they all hold their seeds, so to speak. McNeese, teams like that, with Will Wade down there, they've just dominated their league. One of the 2 teams from the Big West, either UC San Diego or UC Irvine, they've been terrific. And whichever one of them wins that automatic bid will probably be a 12 seed. So getting one of those teams probably different than most of the teams on the 13 line. But it really, in games like that, it's a lot up to you. How seriously do you take it? How intense are you? How aware are you of the fact that team on the other side is pretty good and they could beat you?
Right.
It's really a lot down to your performance And so I think that it's better to be a 4 than a 5, but I don't know that the differential is that great.
I'm with you. I think a 4 and a 5 are pretty much the same thing. You're going to end up playing each other if it all works out right. You did a very interesting story this week, as always, when you were doing your top 12 teams in the nation. And you were breaking down what you think, I guess, metric-wise and everything else, what it takes to win a title. You were comparing that with Auburn. Let me just start with this. Were you surprised at all? Because I was not, honestly, that Auburn in Tuscaloosa 1-2, first time ever in the SEC, which that kind of shocked me. But did you have any kind of surprise about the dominance that Auburn had? I never thought Auburn was going to lose that game.
The dominance surprised me. That they went in and won, no, because they're good enough to win anywhere in the country. But that they were winning by significant, I think they got up to 15 or 16. That did surprise me. I did not think that Alabama would struggle as much early in that game. Alabama's a terrific offensive team, and I thought that they would at least be able to trade buckets for a long time, and they fell right into a hole. And until Sears busted a couple of threes, I thought the job Auburn did defensively against Alabama, even though the volume of points turned out to be a lot, but it's when you're playing a fast paced game, like in the NBA, when you have 110 to 100 game, it looks like it wasn't a great defensive game, but that can be an enormous defensive game depending on how it plays out. And that's what happened on Saturday in Tuscaloosa. Auburn's defense was phenomenal, and Alabama didn't have an answer for it. And that I was really surprised because I think at its best, Alabama's offense is maybe the best in the country.
I agree. I think it is the best in the country, but Auburn is superb. And Bruce Pearl, I've got to ask you this because I saw this graphic and it amazed me. Bruce Pearl becomes only one of a list of like 6 guys, maybe, and they're all huge. John Wooden had the most. Bobby Knight's on that list. Mike Krzyzewski's on this list of guys who had multiple 1-2 game victories. Pearl's now done it as a 2 with Tennessee against Memphis in 2008, and this time as a 1. Where do we rate Bruce Pearl as a coach?
Oh, he's terrific. He always has been. Going all the way back to Southern Indiana, where he won a national championship in 1994, I believe it was, or 95. I remember meeting him. Steve Fisher introduced me to him at a baggage claim at the Final Four. That was when I first met Bruce, and then when he went to Milwaukee, I believe, and did a phenomenal job there, and then ultimately became the head coach at Tennessee. And he's always been just an outstanding coach, outstanding at seeing how players can succeed in different roles. I don't know what it was. I went down a rabbit hole a couple of weeks ago and looked up Dane Bradshaw's stats, his career stats, and it listed him as a guard. And I chuckled because, yeah, like if you watch Dane Bradshaw, if you looked at him, of course he's a guard, right? He played power forward.
Yes.
For Bruce, because Bruce saw something that could work, and it worked. I mean, I don't know many coaches would have looked at Dane and said, "Yeah, he's a power forward at the Division I level in the SEC," and yet he was, and he did great, and now he's doing a wonderful job on television.
It's so funny that you say that because we just actually saw him and Tom Hart. They came over and they chatted with us. And when I think of the greatest moves I've seen in coaching, I think of, as one of them, that Bruce Pearl move because nobody would have played Dane Bradshaw as a power forward, kind of a point power forward. Nobody would have done that, and he saw that was brilliance.
Yes, and that's what people sometimes get caught up in what your results are relative to how great you are as a coach. And I mean, like, if you don't win a national championship, you're not great, or if you don't make the Final Four, you're not great, or whatever it might be. And it's really not like that in college because I use this metaphor all the time. They're not all playing the same course. The Tennessee job when he got there was not the same as the Kentucky job when Cal got to Kentucky or whatever it might be. I mean, it's a different situation. And the guy who took Milwaukee to the Sweet 16, I mean, that's a lot harder to do than to win a national championship at Kentucky. I mean, it just is. I mean, I know mathematically you only have to win 2 games, but you have to do it with the roster of players that you can collect at that particular school. And so, while ultimately the goal is to win the national championship, and the fact that Tubby and Rick and Joby Hall and Adolph Rupp and Cal all won championships at Kentucky, I mean, that's what it's all about. But you can be just as great a coach doing what Bruce did when he was on his way up to the highest level.
Once again, we're just about out of time. And next week, I love this thing that you wrote today, by the way, where you talk about what the intangibles are to win a championship. Metric excellence, which takes into account offensive and defensive efficiency, rim protection, breakdown scorers, NBA prospects, and a point guard, which seems to be the major ingredients for a national title team. And I want to go into those next week if you remind me. But yeah. I do want to ask you, because you talk about the metric excellence in the database of Ken Pomeroy's. If you were to follow only one analytics that you think is the greatest barometer that's going to let you know what's going to happen, what analytics is that?
Yeah, I don't, because I'm not a bettor. I'm not a bettor, obviously because of what I do. I mean, it's not for a journalist. It's not really one of those things that you're supposed to do ethically. So I'm not a bettor for that reason. And also, I'm not a bettor because it impacts my enjoyment of games. I mean, before I covered college basketball, I was covering a fight in Vegas during the conference tournaments, and I bet on one game. It was Maryland Duke, and I wanted Maryland to win, but I bet on them to cover a spread. But so they covered the spread, but they didn't win, something like that. And so I wasn't really all that happy. And then I bet another game where I bet on, I think, St. John's to cover, and they won, but they didn't cover or whatever. And it's not fun for me. I want,
I'm with you.
So I don't pay that much attention to whether or not Bart Torvik, the T rank, is more accurate in predicting how games will come out than what Ken does. I will tell you that if you love college basketball and if you want to understand it, Ken's site, which costs, I think, $20 a year, 25 maybe. There's so much information there. If you can get the basic ratings without paying for it, the offensive and defensive efficiency and that sort of thing.
But you can't get the predictions of the games, which I found out the hard way. Thank God.
Yeah, and you
Brian
can't.
Takis has it.
What you can't get is you can find out in one click how good a 3-point shooting percentage team is, or how good they are at blocking shots or stealing the basketball or forcing turnovers without stealing it. And all these kinds of things that you can find out with one click just by paying, like I said, around $25. It's the best $25 I spend every year. He does a great job. And so to understand the game, I highly recommend that. But there are great analytics sites all over the web. Torvik's is great. Evan Miyakawa, his site is evanmiya.com. It's Evan and then MIYA.com. His stuff is great. So there's all kinds of terrific stuff that really help you to understand the game at a deeper level. What I don't understand, I listened to your show at the start. Why didn't everybody just go straight from Tampa to Wichita?
Well, they've done that in the past. For whatever reason, Penny chose to come home this time. So
Yeah,
Not sure.
I think that's a decision he'll regret.
maybe, maybe so. I tend to think that's correct. Hindsight is always 2020. Mike DeCourcy, your insight is always terrific. We love it. Go read his stuff today on the 5 things that you need to win a national title. We'll discuss that next week. Thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
That is our man. That is Mike DeCourcy from the Sporting News. We're sitting in the Family Leisure Studios. They're back in Memphis, or at least for me. And a reminder, the preseason pool patio sale, it's going on. Spring's around the corner. Get on the installation list, and, you might want to try looking at those above-ground pools because they got 2024 pricing. Play gyms, trampolines, outdoor kitchens. Those are on sale. Spas up to $3,000 off. Go by, tell Billy, tell Lindsay we sent you. Cash in on this preseason sale at Family Leisure. We're back with medals in just a moment.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Hello?
Hey, little sis. Did you get your W-2 yet?
Yes, I did.
Well, last year when I told you to file early to get your refund quick?
Yes, I remember.
Well, go ahead and call now, and you can get your refund fast.
Thanks. That's why I love you. Always looking out for your little sis.
To get your taxes filed quick and get your refund fast, go to Brenton Tax Service, located in Midtown Memphis on Madison Avenue. We may not be related to you, but at Brenton Tax Service, we protect you like family.
Do you know one of the best things you can do for your employees or family's health? Provide Arctic Clear bottled water. Arctic Clear bottled water is your locally owned and operated bottled water provider. Arctic Clear is 100% natural spring water with free delivery instead of dependable service and no long-term contracts. An easy choice. Call Jeff Metis today. 901-382-2363 or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call now 382-2363. That's 382-2363.
Price does not include licensing costs, registration fees, taxes, and dealer dock fee of $8.99.50, which are to be paid by the consumer. Example, stock number SC12-64070, MSRP $48.840, dealer discount $4,000, $2,000 customer cash, $3,000 bonus cash, sale price $39.840, interest starts at date of purchase on approved credit, expires 3/3/25.
Locally owned and operated for over 40 years, Automatic Gates Construction tailors custom gate solutions for all your residential, commercial, and industrial needs, including repairs, maintenance, and installation. Automatic Gates Construction specializes in designing and installing automatic gates and fencing that seamlessly blends security, functionality, and aesthetic appeal. Elevate the safety and efficiency of your property with a premium gate solution. Automatic Gates Construction at myautomaticgates.com.
Time for medals. Got a bunch of bad ones. Got a few good ones, though, that is for sure. So let's start with the good stuff. I got a bronze for the Vandy women's basketball team's freshman star, Michaela Blakes. This young lady, unbelievable. She had 55 points in a overtime victory over Auburn. That, ladies and gentlemen, going all the way back to great players at Texas, great players at Tennessee, great players at Connecticut. No freshman has ever scored 55 points a game, in a game, I should say, until Michaela Blakes. Congratulations, she gets a bronze. Silver medal, Ludwig Oberg. 25-year-old Swede did it again. He wins the Genesis at Torrey Pines. One stroke over. This guy's going to win this year. He may win a major. Maverick McNeely. Remember, he was so sought after and thought of as an amateur. And it's been a little slow start in his pro career, but he's coming on. He's close to winning, it seems like, a lot. He finished second. Big charge. He was 5 behind to start the day, finished 1 behind. But Oberg is going to be a major star. He's now second. That was his second PGA Tour win. And as far as the Europeans go, I'd say McIlroy's the most known. Would you say Oberg now number 2 in popularity?
Certainly.
Yeah. And then I got 2 golds. One, Tom Izzo, who passed Bobby Knight for the all-time Big Ten winner. Most wins in Big Ten games, Izzo passes Bobby Knight. Izzo, by the way, a much nicer guy than Bobby Knight. And my final gold medal goes to number 1 Auburn. They controlled the game. They beat number 2 Alabama in Tuscaloosa. The game was never in doubt. Janai Broom is the best player in the game. And now if you've ever had doubts about Bruce Pearl, put him away. Because he becomes, I think it's only 6 guys with all major names that have won multiple 1 versus 2 games. He may be the first, now that I'm thinking about it, to do it with 2 different teams. Quite the accomplishment. Those are my good medals.
Those are your good
I
medals,
got
all
a lot
right.
of bad ones.
Okay, perfect. I have a lot of good medals. I do not have a lot of bad medals. I'll start with my bronze. I give a bronze medal to Mississippi State. The Bulldogs, they get the season sweep over Ole Miss. I know everyone was talking about the Auburn-Alabama game over the weekend, but Mississippi State and Ole Miss, a heck of a matchup as well.
What happened to Mississippi State, for 2 weeks?
Yeah,
They were terrible.
I don't know, but they've gotten out of that funk. A good win for them over Ole Miss. I give a bronze to Ludwig Aubert. You mentioned it, the win for him. Love watching this guy play. I followed him around when he was here last year in Memphis. I went out, I think, 2 days and just watched probably 11 or 12 holes both days of just him hitting the ball. He's such a talented golfer. And how about this, Dave? He goes out there, wins yesterday. Today, he's playing in TGL, so we'll see him on our televisions today.
The ratings will rise.
3 matchups today, triple header for TGL today, starting at noon. How about that?
Tiger in there?
Tiger playing tomorrow night, so his team goes tomorrow night. He is playing, though.
Will that be the first time since his mother passed away?
That's right, yes, that he'll be participating in anything, so it'll be good to see Tiger out there tomorrow, but today, triple header, TGL, be there, be square. My silver medals, I got to give one to Auburn, just completely dominated Alabama that entire game, took the air out of that building from the jump. Good win for them. My other silver medal goes to Tom Izzo. You already mentioned it, past Bob Knight. Really big kudos to him. And then my only gold medal today goes to Team USA in their win over Canada Saturday night. Whew, Dave, did you watch any of this game? Holy cow.
No,
my gosh. It was incredible. So I don't want to get political here, Dave, but national anthem starts playing. The Canadians start booing it. They did it against Finland. Team USA didn't like that.
Well,
after the
they
game.
don't want to become the 51st state.
No, that's right.
I get where they're coming from.
Absolutely. But again, not getting political. So Team USA, after the Finland game, reporters asking them, every single player got asked, what'd you think of the national anthem? They go, oh, we didn't like it. We didn't like it. I'm ready for Canada. I'm ready for Canada. So Saturday night comes around. They go over the loudspeaker. Please respect the other nation's national anthem. They play it. Here come the boos. We get a close-up on all the boys. You can tell they're ready to go. Puck drop, we get 1 scrap. Okay, all right. Get him in the penalty box. Puck drops again, a second one. Then, 5 seconds later, a third one. 3 fights in the first 9 seconds. You mentioned it earlier, Dave. This was a tournament that was just thrown together by NHL in place of their All-Star week. And these guys are playing so hard. Guys are talking about how this is more important to them than a Game 7 in the Stanley Cup Finals. They're playing fast. They're physical. There was one check in that game Saturday. I had never seen a check that physical from Team USA. So it was a lot of fun. USA wins. They're now in the finals. Canada, they play here in about an hour at noon. They have to beat Finland in regulation to go to the final and meet USA again. This time, if they met again, it would be in Boston Thursday night.
I'm watching if that's the case.
Yeah.
NBA, you should be watching and thinking about doing something.
Yeah, something.
Just like this. Those are the good medals. I got a bunch. of
All right.
negative ones, not including American Airlines, which should be in there because they are so apathetic toward their customer base and inflexible. But my first one to the University of Illinois.
Jeez.
They retire Terrence Shannon's jersey at the game where Izzo makes history and becomes the winningest Big Ten game coach, right? They raise the jersey, then they unfurl it, right, to show the number and the jersey and Terrence Shannon's name, and it's upside down. Oh, my gosh. How could that be? New Live CEO Scott O'Neill on X, or actually it was on a broadcast. I saw it on X, where he's talking to David Faraday and some other guy who's now involved in the broadcast. And he basically said, outside of the majors, the best place to watch the best golfers in the world is at Live. Did somebody tell him they only got 3 of the top 40? That's it? They did win one major last year. 3 were won by the PGA Tour. Last I looked, Scotty Scheffler's number 1 in the world. Is he on the Live Tour? Is McIlroy? Is Matsuyama? Is Hoberg? Any of those guys? No.
Did you watch any of it this weekend? They were in Adelaide.
Of Live?
Yeah, Australia.
No, I never watch it. I'm a staunch PGAer. I feel I would be betraying my guys to watch that garbage.
Hey, at least you stand for something.
There you go. I got to give one to South Carolina. The number 4 women's basketball team in the country had a 71-game home streak. Okay? That, by the way, that streak started in December of 2020. It's 5 years old. They're taking on number 7. They're the favored team. They're number 4. They're at home. They haven't lost in 5 years. Now, I can understand losing that game because it is Gino Auriemma. He's got a good team. They're number 7 in the country. But not by 29? 87-58. All you can score is 58? Oh, my gosh. How bad is that? That's awful. They get a rust because they quit in that game. And then finally, Tiger Toughness. That loss was just like they did in Philly. It's really going to be painful because now they'll probably end up hopefully a 6 seed. And I hate to say it, but Dane Danger, a no-show. Yes, sir.
It was not great. My rust, I only have one. It's one you already mentioned, Illinois. I mean, how in the world are you going to have a jersey retirement ceremony? You don't even, do we not practice this? Do we not, hang it up, make sure it looks good? You just put it up there, you put the drape over it, and you can see in Terrence Shannon's face when he kind of pulls it so that it's revealed to everybody, and the look on his face when he saw that it was upside down. Oh, I just felt so bad for him. I don't know how that happened. It's just a complete disaster from everybody involved. Not a good look, and maybe we talked about bad omens earlier with your struggles to get to Wichita. I guess a bad omen there when you see that upside down. I mean, you knew you were going to lose at that point.
Well, that's supposed to be distressed, right?
Yeah.
Maybe that's what Illinois was really doing. They were distressed with the Michigan State Spartans. That'll do it. Those are our medals. They've been brought to you by the good folks at Grind City Brewing, Gator Patrol, that tangerine cream sour. But there's so many different facets that you love about Grind City. First of all, you love where the brewery is. You love the picnic grounds, which are now, by the way, they're building a permanent stage, so they're going to have more concerts out there. Great place for that, but it's a great place for all the products because you can't find better local beers. A dream of a father and a son years ago. Now Grind City has become a taste of Memphis and an iconic place of Memphis with concerts and everything else. You want to check it out. Just north of downtown, Grind City Brewing. That'll do it for us. Johnny Radio is right around the corner. We'll see you tomorrow morning. Have a great day, everyone.
Jenkins Floors and More invites you to their retail warehouse where they pass wholesale savings on to you. Jenkins Floors in Little Rock, Cleveland, Mississippi, and now open in Horn Lake at 2356 West Goodman Road. Specializing in flooring and carpeting, tile, plantation shutters, and blinds, Jenkins makes your life easy with a 2-week turnaround. Contractors, builders, or family projects, call 662-469-9350 for a free estimate. Owners Timmy and Rebecca Jenkins say hello to Sports 56 fans and look forward to your business.
Breakfast is what you make it, and maybe, just maybe once in a while, you want your breakfast to have a little kick to it. That's why Sunrise doesn't just feature a full bar, they feature drinks that scream, have me with breakfast. Ever had a breakfast shot? They mix Jameson with butterscotch schnapps, then add an OJ chaser and a bite of bacon, and you'll feel like you've just had a taste of pancakes, but with alcohol. Another Sunrise specialty is the wake-up call, vodka, Red Bull, and lime, and you can keep the can. As always, the food at Sunrise is unrivaled, and they have a full bar.
These days, it feels like everyone is talking about how the American dream of homeownership has become out of reach for so many of us. Well, Rocket is trying to give us more of a chance to own our homes. They're making homeownership simpler and more accessible to more people, turning renters into owners. Rocket believes that every one of us deserves a shot at the American dream.